Nice tits, bitch.
Hello, fiends and fiendettes. Welcome to the greatest horror show on the internet in the world, Scream Fiends. I'm your host, Xander, and with me once again is Russ.
Hi.
And joining us as a continual, longtime host, co-host, the man himself.
I've graced you with my presence.
The man upstairs himself.
I realized last time our last attempt at recording that I said your name, and I don't know. It's almost. Do you want to keep it mysterious?
Does it feel wrong to say my name?
A little bit. I mean, you've been the man upstairs, the man himself, for so long.
I remember now. I remember now why we were saying that too. Because your old job, we were like we couldn't like say your name over like certain opinions.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
There's a sensitive predicament.
This edition of Scream Fiends will be a spoiler-filled review of one of our most anticipated movies of this generation.
Really?
So if you've been listening to this show since the beginning, basically, you know that for a long time our base movie for like
The worst.
This is the
movie.
bottom.
yes
This
the bottom
was the bottom of the barrel, and if your movie was underneath this, it was a real piece of stink.
yes
And
that movie was The Vavitch.
the Vavitch. I can only recall of one movie I would rather watch the Vavitch than, and it was the Martyrs remake.
Well, that movie, the Martyrs remake,
Is our
surpassed the
new bottom.
Vavitch.
That
So
is-
that is now the
yeah.
new bottom.
That is the bottom.
But
I would rather watch the Vavitch than this is how this kind of started. We talked about, we didn't know that, like, you and I, we didn't know we liked horror movies.
Yeah.
When we first started talking. Then we made jokes about this podcast and we did start talking, but when we really bonded was on the fact that, like, all of our friends thought, "Oh, you got to see The Witch. You're gonna love that. You like horror movies. You got to see The Witch." We both thought, like, this movie sucked. And now Robert Waters from Pink Floyd. That's not even his name. It's Roger Waters, and then Robert Plant from Led Zeppelin.
so this episode's movie of the week is 2019's The Lighthouse.
Yeah,
This movie is starring Robert Pattinson as Thomas
Howard.
Yes.
Got it this time.
or Ephraim
Winslow.
Oh, we gotta bring him to all the movies.
and Willem Dafoe as
Thomas Wake.
Thomas Wake.
Tom Wake.
Written.
Wait. Oh, I wonder if it.
It was written
Sings like a frog.
by
Piano.
Max Eggers and Robert Eggers, the
Brothers.
sibling duo,
Yeah.
and directed by Robert Eggers. So the first thing that you'll notice when you go into this movie is that it's shot in, what is the aspect ratio?
4x3.
4:3 and in black and white.
So I thought it was going to be an establishing shot. Like, I thought the screen was going to widen after, like, that first shot of the ship coming in. I'm like, oh, look at how this is starting. And then it did. I'm like, no, I'm okay with this. This is how I grew up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know a lot of people get real, like, frumpy about, like, not having, like, the wide screen. I don't fucking care.
I could see it kind of becoming an issue if you're watching at home on a smaller TV, but
Yeah.
like being in a theater, it was fine.
Yeah.
I don't know. And I know we had talked about whether that was done through claustrophobia or if it was to convey like the period.
Yeah, and
Both really work, honestly.
Yeah.
You could say both. I mean, because it did feel claustrophobic, but could be also because they were in a lighthouse.
yeah, and you do notice how close they are, how often they're close together. That's so much of the movie is them spent like right up
right
next,
there.
right
Yeah.
on top of each other, pretty much. And But yeah, like we had talked about the authenticity of the time period. I feel like this is probably the thing this director is trying to be known for, is trying to capture that. And I think in a way it's like
the authenticity of the period.
Exactly, and that going back to the witch, and it I think this would be kind of seen as an insult, but I think he's like a novelty director. Like if his third movie is like just a normal movie, then maybe we can throw that away.
Yeah.
But I guarantee it's going to be some kind of weird thing where it's like, now this entire movie is going to be filmed underwater. Like, you know, I get the feeling that he's going to be that kind of director.
It's going to be completely in Latin.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and much like the witch, as we mentioned, the dialogue is when, because they don't necessarily say exactly when this is set.
Yeah, they mention some storm of 64 and then 72, so I imagine it's the late 1800s at this point.
That would be my guess. It's gotta be, yeah.
And Robert Pattinson's character does mention like driving.
Yeah.
At one point, so
honestly, you could go automobiles. You could say like late 1890s, maybe early 1900s.
Yeah,
northeastern.
I assume late 1800s.
Yeah, definitely northeastern.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously, yeah. With the accents.
Yeah, and it's definitely not as hard to understand the characters as the witch.
Well, sometimes in their drunken stupors.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what's cool about this, maybe as compared to The Witch, and I don't know if it's just that these guys are better actors. Not that I think the acting in The Witch is fine. That's not really the problem with The Witch.
No. Yeah.
But they seem more natural in their characters than the people in The Witch did, or at least to me.
Yeah, honestly, it was kind of cool seeing, because I only know Robert Pattinson from those Twilight fucking movies.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, I can't stand those movies.
When you guys were watching it, were you like picturing the Batman cowl over him the entire time?
The entire time I was.
I honestly, like, what was going through my head is like, how old is he? Honestly, because I thought he was like probably like mid-20s, but he might be in his 30s. like he looks old.
I think he was probably in his 20s during Twilight.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he's got to be.
Well, because he was in Harry
30s,
Potter too.
Yeah. Was
he?
he?
He was.
He was in the Harry Potter movies.
Goblet of Fire, I think that one.
Well, I think he's in all of them up to that when he gets killed in that.
Oh, dude.
Spoiler alert!
When I noticed
Spoiler alert! So I didn't watch Harry Potter movies until I found out Gary Oldman was in them, and I was like, "What?" And then I started watching. I'm like,
he's Sirius Black, right?
He's super serious.
The wolf.
Yeah.
Uncle.
I like Gary Oldman. Gary Oldman is my favorite.
So I guess we should set up the basic premise of this movie is
two guys in a lighthouse. Done.
So, it's the premise and the entire movie.
Yeah.
There's one more star of this movie though. The seagull.
Oh, the seagull. The much talked about seagull.
Everything is much talked about. Much talked about.
So this movie takes place on this small, tiny as like basically a rock island, with a lighthouse, and the initial establishing shot is the ocean with a ship coming towards.
Yeah, like a big boat.
Yeah,
really is what it is.
Yep. And then it shows the crew. So it shows two guys coming off the island and two guys going on.
Yep.
And remind me to bring this up later, because I don't know if this was intentional or not. It had to be, but I'll just bring it up now. So did you notice when the two people were coming off the island, they were both like helping each other carry the what do you call it? Like
a chest.
Chest.
It looked like a chest, right?
Together.
Yeah.
And then Willem Dafoe and Robert Pattinson, they're both just carrying their own stuff. And so what made me think of it was that, is that a sign is that these two characters are inherently going to be at odds, and then that's showing that these other two people sort of bonded during their time in the lighthouse?
I could see that. Like, it shows that they're not familiar with each other.
Yeah. And I mean, they bonded in a sort of a way.
Yeah.
Yeah, they bond. I mean, you could say they probably have the most intimate moment two people can have that's not having sex.
Then so I would say a good third of the movie is just Robert Pattinson slaving away, doing the different chores at the lighthouse.
Yeah, I mean, really the whole movie is him just working.
Yeah.
With intermittent pieces of just psychoticness, like insaneness.
Well,
intermittent.
The psychosis doesn't really happen until
the drinking starts.
Well, I think there's even a little bit of it before then. He sees the mermaid before.
That's true.
So he walks. Well, it's a dream. He's outside the lighthouse at night, and he sees these, figures in the water shifting.
They're logs.
It turns out to be logs.
Yeah.
But he doesn't notice himself slowly walking into the water.
Yeah, because what he
right.
sees, what it looks like, he sees a body, like a woman in a white dress, kind of floating in there.
And then as he goes into the water, he sees that it's a mermaid.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because then he sinks.
Yeah, then he's completely submerged.
So we must have skipped over a bit.
No.
That's the hard thing with how we usually do is go scene by scene basically, but this movie is so it's monotonous, but the way it's shot kind of propels it, I guess.
I mean, really, the best way to take this movie is insane point to insane point.
Yeah.
Because everything in between those points is just going to be Robert
because
Pattinson shovels coal into a furnace.
It's like this time he's working on this time he's working on that, so it's kind of hard to decipher.
Come here, you. Come here. Just come here. Oh, God.
But yeah, anyways, we skipped over when he initially goes to his bed, he finds a hole
that's
in the mattress.
Yeah.
And so he digs in there and he finds this mermaid
like a little
figurine.
Bone idol.
Yeah, exactly. Some kind of fertility goddess looking kind of statue.
Yeah.
What do they call that? Scrimshaw?
Yeah, that's what they were calling it. Yeah.
Isn't that what that's called? When you carving things out of bone, isn't that scrimshaw or something?
Yeah.
Like that?
So he finds that before he sees the mermaid,
Yes,
right?
That's right. Yep.
That's probably what put it in his head. But yeah, so sees the mermaid in the water, realizes it's a dream.
And she screams, so it makes me think siren, really.
Yeah.
She does some weird siren-y, screamy call thing.
Yep. And then so the entire thing is supposed to last 4 weeks. It's supposed to be 4 weeks on, or however long off. I don't know how long they get off.
Well, the first thing we should see here too is.
Oh.
Yeah, but I might actually have to hold this. First thing, their first dinner they have together. Before they kind of gets into it, how Willem Dafoe has a tradition of he's got some weird sailor's prayer, and then they're supposed to drink, and Robert Pattinson's he's like, nah, I'm not drinking shit.
Yeah, because it's against the rules. He wants to follow every rule. He wants to do a good job.
Yeah, and so they basically are at odds at this point already because he wants him to drink, and he's like, nope. Against the rules, and he goes to drink some water, and it's gross. So he's got to fix the cistern.
Yeah, he didn't clean it out.
Yeah. So then it goes into so they're gonna spend 4 weeks together, and I mean honestly that doesn't seem like that long.
That's what I was thinking too. I was like, really, just 4 weeks?
Yeah. So this is the thing that I thought about a bunch while watching this movie, is how believable I think it could be. If you're in that situation, 4 weeks to us now with computers and phones and shit.
Fair enough. Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Shit, that's nothing.
Right.
But 4 weeks with a guy you don't know in a lighthouse on a rock island,
farting all the time.
Yeah, and they each gotta kind of sneak around and jerk off. I mean, that's not a joke.
No,
this
that
happens in the movie. So if anybody's ever been curious about how that handsome man Willem Dafoe looks like when he cranks away, that was weird because we get to a scene where he sees the mermaid, and then he's got the idol and whatnot, and then he's doing his work, but at one point he takes a break to tug his carrot, and then there's a scene
like the same night or the night after where Willem Dafoe's run, because Willem Dafoe will not let Robert Pattinson run the lantern.
Yeah, they established that early on
Yeah.
where Willem Dafoe is the only one
with the key to
and
the lantern. Yeah.
He's like the established. He's like in charge of
Yeah.
Robert Pattinson.
I think it seems the slang term for the job is wiki.
Yeah.
Is what I picked up from that. So he's the wiki. It's his rules. And you say "aye, sir." You don't say "yes, sir." And and he establishes right away. And Robert Pattinson argues, "Well, according to the book, we need to take turns because of regulations." He's like, "There's only one regulation we got to know, and that's my regulations."
Yeah.
But there's a scene where he's up there and he's whacking, he's rinsing, he's going to town, and you just like, oh, and Robert Pattinson's looking up through the grate, and it's like he's gonna get semen on himself.
Yeah.
And it totally happens. Like you can tell that it hits the
It's
thing.
not a complete facial, but it definitely drips down.
Yeah, and
like,
he kind of
right-
gets away at the same time, but then you get like this, like just long loogie of man butter come down. And what made it awkward for me was that I was sitting next to people, and I didn't realize because I didn't see them right when they walked in because it was dark. I thought it was like two elderly women. It was actually like younger couple, whatever. But I thought I was sitting next to two elderly women and this big like, man butter loogie dropping. I'm just like, this is like sitting next to my grandma watching this. This is weird. It's like, So there's a lot of masturbation in this movie.
There's a big tentacle too in that.
Yeah,
scene, too.
so
That's the great.
I'm not sure if that sperm loogie was supposed to be a sperm loogie, or if
maybe
it's
like-
supposed to be tentacle,
Like slime?
Slime.
That's what I thought too.
Or maybe he saw the sperm loogie and then envisioned it just to sort of get that out of his mind. Willem Dafoe's.
I can't tell if what we're seeing is Robert Pattinson's psychosis or if the movie is showing us exactly what's happening.
Yeah.
Right.
And I really kind of feel like it's his psychosis actually, because there's the scene. Well, we'll get to it, so I don't know that the tentacle was ever actually there.
But there's time. Well, I don't think the tentacle definitely wasn't there, but he probably was jerking it up.
Oh yeah, no, he was definitely going.
Yeah,
to town.
because there's
he was standing naked in front of
there's
the light, with his arms outstretched and shit.
There's shots of him, up there, naked.
Yeah.
And Robert Pattinson, he kind of thinks it's humorous, like this, like almost it's endearing that this old man just loves his lighthouse so much he just free balls it up on the thing, just like, hey, I'm at my favorite place. I'm gonna get naked and throw naked silhouettes.
There's a great shot of Robert Pattinson like down on the rocks, looking up at the lighthouse, and for a second you see like the silhouette of Willem Dafoe up there, like standing against the window naked. But then it like cuts back, and all of a sudden he's off to the sides, kind of pulling his suspenders up.
Yeah.
That was a good shot.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's one thing I'll say for Roger Eggers is like he's got a good sense of photography and I like the way he shoots. I like the imagery, but there was a lot of scenes of just Batman shoveling coal, and so we have some more of that happen here.
And then it's introduced his arch nemesis, the seagull.
Yeah. So he's bringing a wheelbarrow of coal over to the furnace room, and there's a seagull just like sitting on the stair and it won't move, and so he like goes to fuck with this bird, throws like a piece of coal at it, and Willem Dafoe in pirate speak says something along the lines of "Don't kill seagulls or you'll have ghosts
Bad
come
luck.
after you."
Yeah,
Bad luck. And so at this point, at some point, Robert Pattinson is going to choke that chicken, and
because he says it's the souls of dead sailors.
yeah, they hold the souls of dead sailors, and he calls that tall tales, but he eventually gets in his work, and then we have another dinner scene. At what point though where's the breaking point where Robert Pattinson finally just gives in and starts drinking?
It was actually the last night.
It's the last night because
It's
they're 4
supposed to
weeks
be
are
last
up.
night.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. But something happens before that. He
Yes.
wakes up in the morning, okay, and he goes to get some water, and it's like, ugh, gross. And he looks in there, and it's like super black and muddy. He's like, what the fuck's going on here? So he goes down there, and there's like a dead seagull in the cistern. He's like, what the fuck?
Well, I think it was still alive.
It was not quite dead. It was
Yeah.
You're right. I was like, well, and so he was going to go
mangled.
get it out of there or something. Then our buddy, the seagull, comes back, and
one eye, the one that he was fighting with had one eye.
Yeah.
So
And
so
it
they
also
identified
showed
it.
up at his window, pecking at the
pecking at
window.
the-
yeah, oh, he's a bastard, the fucking seagulls. But so yeah, then
Or after, and another thing, when he was painting the lighthouse, he fell.
That's right.
And it was pecking at his leg.
yeah, that's
So it
right.
popped up a few times.
He's just a real piece of shit. And so so he's finally the bird starts like attacking him when he's trying to get the other seagull out. So then he grabs that seagull, and he spends like 5 minutes bashing that thing off of a
that-
rock.
That was worth the price of admission by
It just
itself.
kept going. It was
Yes.
crazy.
I
Just
mean,
splattering this bird.
so I don't think they hurt any real animals in the making of the film, but I think they may have used real dead animals.
It
to-
looked pretty real.
I thought it was a pretty good prop, if
Yeah.
it wasn't real. But he bashed that seagull against that rock that could have been half the movie for all I could tell. I mean, it really. And he was just
No cuts, just slamming this
Yeah.
thing against the rocks.
And so at this point, we see that the wind changes from a westerly calm wind to a northeasterly, stormy wind. And Willem Dafoe comes in and goes, "Oh, we're going to have a big storm." And Robert Pattinson's like, "No, we're not. I swear to God, I didn't kill a bird." And he's like, "I didn't say anything about a bird." And so, but then as the storm starts coming, it's their last night. They seem to have warmed up to each other, and finally Robert Pattinson's like, "Yeah, I'll drink." So then they get drunk, and it's adorable. They go, and it's funny how this. It basically is just like a montage of two drunk sailors alone in a lighthouse, just going through their emotions of like laughing, admitting too much shit to each other, fighting, and then almost making out. And, and this happens, at this point. And I think that's where Willem Dafoe reveals that his real name is Tom, Tom Wake, and they kind of go back and they start drinking heavily again.
Well, they wake up the next morning and the boat hasn't shown up, or the storm comes in, right?
Yeah, the storm comes in, and then it's the next day, and they figured the boat didn't come because of the storm or something. But then they're kind of going through this whole thing where they think they might have just slept through it and they left them there. Or something.
That's so. Robin Pattinson's character was like, maybe we just slept through it and they'll be back, right? And then Willem Dafoe is like,
no,
it's been weeks.
Yeah.
We've been, and he was like, the storm has gone through. We need to get rations and all that type of stuff. And then Robin Pattinson's like, yeah, we gotta.
But we don't have any more rations. Then they go dig up like a big crate of booze, and
He's like, "Oh, rations."
But that's like the first time.
rations.
It's like it's hard to tell whether. Well, we know Robin Pattinson's crazy. We know they're both crazy.
Yeah.
We don't know if Willem Dafoe's a figment of his imagination, which I don't think he is. It's so much of it's up in the air. Like you can question all of it.
I mean, you
Yeah.
could really tie that all sorts of different ways.
But you don't know if Willem Dafoe's character is just lying to fuck with him, or if
Pathological.
Yeah.
Or if it what Willem Dafoe is saying to Robert Pattinson is all in his head, in Robert Pattinson's head.
Yeah.
But it's not actually what Willem Dafoe is saying.
Yes,
or
it's
so
unclear.
much-
Or maybe
Yeah.
what Willem Dafoe is saying is reality, but Robert Pattinson's not experiencing it that way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's kind of how
You've
I
seen it through
feel.
his shoes.
Like I feel like Willem Dafoe's
These
character
shoes.
is. I think Willem Dafoe's character, like I feel like even though he says crazy shit, I think he seems more grounded than Robert Pattinson. Like Robert
But he's
Pattinson,
also
But
chilling up in the lighthouse.
He's staring at a lighthouse for who knows. Like he's staring
Yeah.
at the light for
Yeah.
the entire night for all we know.
True.
Like
true. But I mean, that's because we know there's like mermaid boobs up there or something. I have no idea what's. Well, because when we get to the end, I wonder what the glowing was. It's like, I mean, I think only John Travolta knows, because of that.
Xenu?
No, whatever that movie is. Yeah, exactly. But when they open up the case and there's
Pulp Fiction.
Pulp Fiction.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, no, this is Pulp Fiction 0. And,
Well, so another little detail, his book, his ledger, Willem Dafoe is always writing in. Robert Pattinson, he's not quite as obsessed with it as like getting up to the lighthouse.
Yeah.
But he does want, because Willem Dafoe always locks it in like this cabinet.
Yeah.
Every night.
Yeah.
Or every day, because he works the night shift up at the lighthouse.
Yeah.
So that comes into play later, but yeah, he's always writing in the notebook, and there is a scene where he's writing and he gets like a smirk. What he's writing, he's like so proud of himself of what he's writing, and it's revealed later what. But yeah, just thought I'd mention that.
Yeah. But yeah, so the storm picks up.
Yep. Then it's pretty much drinking,
Just them drinking.
Really drinking, pirate songs,
dancing,
hugging,
fighting.
Yep. Then they're just cuddling a couple times and
slow
talking.
dancing.
There's the scene where it's the storm just seemed to have died down a little bit, and Robert Pattinson wakes up to go to the bathroom, but both the chamber pots are full. And I was watching him go, and I see the wind's picked up. I'm like, oh my god, it's fucking the Big Lebowski. And I wish I had, the courage to, like, when he went to go throw the shit and piss and it hits him in the face, I wanted to yell out, it's always a fucking tragedy with you, man. And so, but I didn't do that. And but
is that when he sees the mermaid again?
no,
He's
because he comes back in and Willem Dafoe's like, you smell like shit, and go clean yourself up, blah blah blah.
he starts when he's working, throwing coal in. He starts to see. Well,
it
all starts to blend together.
Yeah, he comes back again to the White House or the lighthouse, and on the way he sees what he thinks is a woman out there. So he
he's
runs
pushing
out
the
there.
coal. Yeah.
And he's like pulling the weeds off her, and then turns into the mermaid. He's like, oh, then she screams, and then he
Feels her boobies,
Yep,
pinches some nipples,
and then he runs into he goes, I saw whatever. I think that's where. It might have been the shit scene because Willem Dafoe cuts him off, says, you need to clean up this place, you smell like shit.
yeah, because I don't think he ever mentions the mermaid to Willem Dafoe.
He like tries and then it gets cut off. But then they're mad at each other drinking, and he's working again, and then he's like, at this point he really goes to town on himself. Like, he's got the mermaid figure, and he's like picturing himself having sex with the mermaid, and like but like other shots and angles,
And him pulling something out of the sea, and then the back of a blonde guy's head.
Oh yeah. Was this after they make their own hooch? Because they run out of booze.
That is before they make
hooch. But he does have a knife at this point.
Yeah, he sneaks the knife.
Yeah, he sneaks the knife away into his back pocket
because he originally tries to use that knife to pick the lighthouse.
Oh, the lighthouse box. Yeah.
So then he has this vision of just and like when he releases, like he's like inconsolable and like can barely stand, but then he tries to like stab the mermaid thing because it breaks.
Yeah, because he broke it when he dropped it.
Yeah, and so he then it goes back to them fighting and drinking, and I'm trying to think what happens after that.
Was the my favorite scene in the entire movie. I can't remember the placement of it, but it was Robin Pattinson wanting better food.
Yeah,
having the steak.
Yes.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, that whole scene with the food was the best.
It was awesome.
Don't you like me cooking?
Well, even before that,
what about me lobster?
But even before that, Robert Pattinson. Oh, I wish I had a steak. Oh, if I had a steak, it'd be rare. And if I had a steak, I'd fuck it. And I was just like, I mean, I suppose if you're, but he says he'd fuck the steak if he had one right now.
And then they get like into like a married couple fight about how his food is shit and all of it's bad. And then
Willem Dafoe's
you don't mean that.
Oh, you don't mean that. Say you're fond of me, lobster.
You're fond of me, lobster, at least.
And then he was like, no, your lobster sucks. And then Willem Dafoe goes on this rant about how the sea gods are gonna kill.
Oh yeah, he does.
And it's like 5 minutes long too, that rant, and he's like, you're like,
and then Robert Pattinson's like, fine, I'll have it. Yeah, your cooking's fine. I mean, it really does get into these like weird like old married couple fights, and
it is just bickering and yeah. So yeah, then it's
say you like me,
they
lobster.
run out of booze, And they decide to make booze out of, I don't know what.
I think it was the
like,
lantern oil.
That's what I thought too.
And honey.
Yeah, honey. Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
And so they
Then from there on out, it's pretty much pure psychosis.
Yeah. So we get
The part I also liked, it only lasted a quick second, but it was actually longer than that. But they're both huddled under the table, giggling and drinking there.
Yes.
Is that when the wave comes through? Then
Yeah, and then right after that, the
So
wave
this
comes
is
through.
kind of with everything. So I think at this point, this is where shit turns. The storm really picks up. The wave comes through and actually floods a bit of the house.
Yeah.
Robert Pattinson's able to get a hold of the book, and he reads it and finds out that Willem Dafoe's not going to was trying to get him not
Basically
paid.
talking shit about him the
and then
entire.
saying he should be
Which
removed without pay.
Which was probably the factual case. Like, if you go off that ledger, maybe it is that Robert Pattinson has been drunk the entire time and he's been causing fights.
And his
trouble.
not drinking in the beginning is what he wishes he was doing, kind of a thing.
Or Willem Dafoe's character is a piece of shit and likes to
Yeah.
he's so protective of his lighthouse and the light and all that type of shit.
He does.
We didn't even mention his previous assistant or
Previous few assistants, how like one went missing, one was this and that. He seems to he kind of lists off like all the other assistants that got kicked out.
Yeah.
And the back of the blonde head, that was another one.
That's the real Ephraim Winslow that
Yes.
that
So
Robert
let's
Pattinson
talk
didn't
about that.
have.
That's around this time
Yeah.
when Robert Pattinson drunkenly spills the beans. Why'd you spill the beans to me?
Oh yeah, that was
So he worked in Canada as a logger. And he had a boss named Ephraim Winslow who kept on barking orders at him, called him a dog, and all of that type of stuff. Situation happened where logs got loose and or there was a log jam and they fell loose and were headed towards his boss, and he had the opportunity to save him, but he didn't. And as his boss was looking up, asking to save him or whatever, he was like, "Oh, I knew you were like a filthy dog," or something like that.
Yeah.
And then after he died, he was like, the only thing I could think of was like, I could use a smoke right now or something like that.
Right.
But it turns out that he took his name, Ephraim Winslow, his fake name, was that guy's real name.
Because he wanted a fresh
start, yeah.
And so and that's where like the logs I bet come in. Because he goes to try to save the woman. It's like all part of. So he seems to have a real bad guilty conscience. Which I think Willem Dafoe says, "Don't bring that shit here."
Yeah.
Don't bring that here.
And he's like, it's like, that's, everybody has that. It's a boring story. I don't want to hear it. Yeah. Pretty much like that.
But so at some point here, after he flips out at Willem Dafoe then like accuses him of, "You just want to get up into my lighthouse," blah blah. Then they go to fight and he starts punching Willem Dafoe, and Willem Dafoe turns into what he described Zeus as, or not Zeus, Poseidon. He describes Poseidon as, and then he's being choked by tentacles. This is like the craziest imagery at this point. But he beats him into like a submission, and Willem Dafoe's just hunched over, like whimpering. And then Patterson goes into this thing where he starts calling him a dog.
Yeah.
Puts
Makes
a leash
him bark,
on him.
yeah.
And then he goes to bury him alive, and Willem Dafoe has some diatribe about something. I don't know. It's not actually a diatribe.
I love that part. And this is one thing I was thinking about. Like, Willem Dafoe, man, he is probably one of the best actors because
I agree.
At his age, he's, if not in his 70s, he's nearing them for sure.
Yeah.
And he's crawling around like a dog
Yep.
in a movie, in like this kind of indie-ish, horror-ish movie. And he's speaking out a speech while dirt is being thrown onto his face.
He's getting
it's like,
buried
I
alive.
can't imagine, like, I don't know, like Samuel L. Jackson doing like, a guy who's kind of in the similar age range.
Yep.
I could never imagine like any other actor his age doing this kind of shit.
Who was Alfred? Kane?
Michael Caine.
Yeah.
No.
He's like the only actor that age that would be doing shit like that. So I really appreciate it.
Yeah, Willem Dafoe will go there, and I like that. I mean, even when you look at his other roles, I mean, like, what's that movie he did? Lars von Trier.
Oh, Antichrist.
Where he gets his dick bashed in with a log. I mean, it's just like, he will do crazy shit. But even weirder than that, have you guys ever seen Wild at Heart? David Lynch's Wild at Heart?
Yes.
He plays this creepy. We call him baked bean teeth in this movie because he's got like prosthetic something with his mouth. But he tells the way he tells Laura Dern in that movie to say "fuck me." It's like to this day makes me feel ill. Like it's so creepy. He's a great he's definitely in my.
Fantastic.
I would say like.
I don't know where this part fits in here, but the scene where Willem Dafoe has Robert Pattinson and he's naked, but his eyes are shining.
That's
Oh yeah.
That's when he spills the beans and he walks up, and you keep on hearing him saying, "Why'd you spill the beans?" over and over again.
Yeah.
And he's walking up to the lighthouse, and then he, at the very top, he sees a body that's legs are tied up. He pulls it over, and it's himself. And then
that's
Willem Dafoe
right.
grabs his shoulder, and he has like these glowing eyes and
Yeah, he's naked.
pirate tattoo on his
Yep.
chest.
Yeah, I think that was like, as far as, I wouldn't really say this is a horror movie, but that was probably the most like haunting imagery in the movie, besides the seagull bashing.
Yeah, seagull bashing.
But
Well, after he gets buried and he starts going after keys and this and that, Willem Dafoe comes running in and back into the lighthouse with an axe and chops Robert Pattinson in the arm. And Robert Pattinson's like, "You motherfucker!" Pulls the axe out and kills Willem Dafoe with it.
Right in the fucking
Right in the head. They don't show it, but you get the whole like you get a really good like a really good thunk noise, and you like a blip of blood like this, and it's like
yeah.
And I don't know if you guys noticed it, but nice little attention to detail. The cut in Robert Pattinson's wound was still
spurting.
continuously spurting. Yeah,
that was good.
Yep.
That was good. Well, Robert Pattinson gets the key and manages to crawl up the stairs to the lighthouse to go see the lantern, and he gets in there and he opens it up.
Well, it opens on its own.
Well, he does.
Yeah, it does.
It opens up and says, "Here, look into the light," and who knows what he sees there.
He just starts screaming.
Yeah,
Yeah,
which was really cool.
That was cool.
Like,
Yeah.
It was like distorted.
Yeah, it's like if you like a microphone, like if you were to shout into a microphone right now, it's the peaking sound.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what was cool too is the way like the light was on him too, like super overexposed,
Oversaturated.
So, like, oversaturated. So you couldn't tell what his mouth looked. It almost looked like a sucker, almost. Even.
Yeah, it was weird because they distorted the image too, and I liked because he was covered in blood when he came up.
Yeah.
And when the light door opened, like I don't know, it like dried like the blood instantly because then you can see more details of his face and stuff like that. I thought that was really cool.
Well, it's strange because when he hit Willem Dafoe with the axe, like some blood splattered, but it wasn't to the extent of when he was going up.
Yeah, when he's crawling up the lighthouse,
so
it was like completely covered.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure if that's another sort of like, is this what really happened or is it not?
Yeah.
Well, we find out what really happens here, though. We don't. I mean, we can't. We'll never know what really happens. But at the end here, after he finally gets to see it and he reaches in there and starts screaming about it, the next scene is him laying on the beach.
Well, he falls down the entire.
Oh yeah, he falls down all the stairs. True. And then we find him on the beach, naked, with his, getting a little. I wonder if this is an allegory to Prometheus,
Covered in blood and bird shit.
This
his
is an allegory.
eyes pecked out. Well, it's not really pecked, like his
There's something
eyelid
going
and
on
stuff,
with this
yeah.
movie.
It looks like his eyes have been picked at. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. I wonder if this is like an allegory to Prometheus, right? The guy who tricks the gods to find the fire. He tricks Poseidon, gets the fire, it falls down the stairs, and gets his liver eaten for the rest of his life because he's still alive, like groaning and stuff. I wonder if there's like an allegory because he sees the light, the fire. I wonder if there's something about that.
That would make complete sense. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm right.
I don't know. All I know about the story of Prometheus is that he gets his liver pecked for
Eternally.
ever.
Yeah, like reed grows every morning. But so that's it though. Like Robert Pattinson ends up getting. It's just him getting shit on by seagulls and eaten by seagulls on the beach, and then it's over.
You only see one of his eyes in that last scene, the one that's pecked out.
Oh, yeah.
You don't see the other.
Yeah.
And the seagull's the spirit of dead sailors, and that seagull that he kills only has one eye.
Oh.
I don't know if that's a thing or not.
It's
That's
the
just
right
the thought
eye,
that
Oh,
Because
yeah.
the
the thing got popped up in my head.
Because the seagull's straight on, so it's his right eye, and then when he's laying down and the camera's on him, it's his right eye too.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So there's not any room for you up here. There's none. There's none.
Yeah, so as we're talking about this, I guess we can give our final thoughts now. There's so many little details, I think, that
The movie moved along quick
Sort of.
enough too.
yeah, looking back on it, like, you can say, like, oh, does this mean this or whatever? And so, yeah, the more I think about it, the more that I think I really like it.
I honestly feel I think I like it regardless, but especially when I compare it to his first movie. I really like it.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it moves well. The characters are odd and kind of fun to watch.
Yeah, I think that really carries
watching
it.
them change and stuff and interact and stuff, and it being really closed, and it's very intimate and stuff. So I like it. I like it a lot too. Honestly.
Yeah, it is still like a really slow burn. So if you're looking, well, I guess if you like The Witch, it's a lot like that style where, it's not gonna be like an action-packed romp or anything like that.
No. I have a feeling that people that like The Witch, though, might not like this movie because it gets too weird throughout the whole movie as opposed to just weird at the end.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And I think, so for me, one of the problems with The Witch is I like movies that are slow and then kind of eventually give you the payoff, which is kind of the idea of The Witch. Yeah. But it's like, I waited this long and the payoff wasn't that great in The Witch. I feel like this is a lot better. And the pain, because it's more extended. What happens at the end is more extended and you're saying weird.
Yeah.
Not only that, but it was more enjoyable to watch as it was leading up to its payoff because they're, the weird drunken nights they've had.
Yeah, their small stories and their stuff was just more interesting.
Yeah, it's not really like exciting moments happen throughout, but it's like interesting character developments happen throughout. And this kind of brings back to what we talked about earlier. It's like, you care about the characters at that point. Not necessarily care about what happens, but you're invested in the characters at that point. Whereas, like with The Witch, I don't care about that family at all. Like, it just there's no character building there for them. Like it's just
them living their shitty lives and something shitty that happens to them, and it just takes forever for it to happen.
Like, exactly. And so it's just for this though, like, Robert, you feel sympathy for both characters. You see this old man trying to maintain his one joy, this young guy trying to start his life over because he's a piece of shit, and then at the end, just a big clusterfuck. But like not in a. It seems unfortunate as opposed to like you know what I mean? Like it's. You feel bad for him. It's like, oh shit.
I like that it can be interpreted in multiple different ways. Like,
sure.
If Robert Pattinson was this sort of murderous type psychopath the entire time, then it's like tragic for Willem Dafoe.
Yeah.
But
if Willem Dafoe's this liar and manipulator.
Yes. We forgot a scene. When he had the knife, he went to go get the keys. And he was I thought he was, because the knife kind of was hooked, I thought he was going to use them to try to hook the keys. But then he starts going for fucking Willem Dafoe's neck. So I wonder if Pattinson was a murderson.
Yeah. But it could be Willem Dafoe was fucking with Robert Pattinson because drive him crazy the entire time.
I mean, if he really wanted to murder him, what's going to stop Willem Dafoe waking up from him stabbing him in the neck anyways? So it's like he still is conflicted in some way about killing him.
Because
he just wants to see what's in the lighthouse.
Yeah, he wants to see what's in the lighthouse, but he wants to start over too. So he's driven by like curiosity, but also trying to, because he argues with Willem Dafoe. He goes, I'm a good worker, I want to be a good worker. I'm as work as anybody,
when he finds out that Willem Dafoe is sort of gonna make it look like he's not doing a good job, I think that's what really sets him off.
Yeah. At that point, he's had enough, of Willem Dafoe's crazy shit. So I mean, rating the movie. Why don't you start first, guest?
So I like it a lot. I know, Russ, a lot of times you talk about when you see a movie, a lot of times you feel like you may overrate it because you let your imagination run wild and you make it a better movie. You make it a better movie in your
head.
The
movie is way better in my head than it actually is. Yeah, exactly. I do that all the time.
I have like a big, it's not, nostalgia is not the right word because I've never fucking was a sailor, but I have like this weird longing and like I don't know, past life type of weird feeling about being on a fucking big boat in the ocean and having like weird like relationships and often like some weird fucking cabin with other men. I was gonna say it doesn't sound. I don't mean it to sound that way, but it may. I may mean it to sound that way.
Hey, I mean, Willem Dafoe and Robert Pattinson almost kissed.
Yeah, that's cute.
It was like when they were dancing. It was touching. It was touching because they were having such a bad time and just like to have these two manly men just cuddle because they're so fucking sad. It was actually like, I mean, I believe that happens. I mean, I've seen like World War I.
That's what I was gonna get to. Is like it's so believable. I could totally see myself in that situation in that time frame because it's like, what the fuck else do you do? Like, what else do you do but like fucking fight each other and like tell all your secrets and like become best friends and worst enemies and all that shit
at the exact same time. Yeah, exactly. No, exactly.
So like I was like my entire time like I can totally see this being how these.
I could definitely be Willem Dafoe's best friend.
Yeah, and you can definitely see like how these stories develop of like mermaids and shit. It's like you're bored, you're drunk, like you see it's dark. You come up with these weird stories to justify weird things.
You see a whale tail breach, and you're like, "Oh my god, it's a fucking mermaid!"
Yeah. And so I feel like even though the point of the movie wasn't to express those kind of ideas, my taking over my imaginations and thinking of those things made me feel like
so even I see what you're saying. So like the director's intent may not have been
exactly.
But this is what you got out of it.
Exactly.
I think they'd even appreciate that. Honestly. Or maybe not. But like,
I would say a gold, not platinum. But like I said, partly because of my imagination, running with it, and my like love of sailory, piratey type things, push it like above. Probably maybe makes me overrated a little bit.
Yeah. Well, so it scores points with you in content.
Yeah,
and setting. The setting already scores points.
Exactly.
For you.
That's like a big thing, and I love Willem Dafoe's rants that he'll he'll have occasionally like multiple 4 or 5 5-minute rants,
and they're awesome.
They're
so
great.
Yeah, because they'll be. There's one in particular that was like just a straight no cuts directly on his face giving this monologue, and it's just amazing.
There's the one, but then they did that again when he was getting buried alive.
Yeah, exactly. And that was the point. I think that's the point of that one, that it was interrupted by him throwing the door. Finally he shut him up after all that time.
And what about me lobster? Yeah. So I'm gonna see. For me, it's the same. Well, I mean, obviously, I'm super forgiving on everything, and so I don't know if I'm being forgiving or if this movie. But when you look at just how the movie shot, the film, all this, the technique, the sound, all of this and stuff, it's awesome. Like I like all of that. It's all done very good. The costumes, the setting, the period stuff. I like all of that. So I would give it a gold just on that alone. But the acting was really good. I mean, I don't expect much from Robert Pattinson because I only know him from really super shitty things.
Right.
And it's like, holy fuck, this guy can act. Like he did a great job. There's a couple times where I felt like his voice could have maybe been a little bit more gruff.
Yes.
Like he's got
his voice is pretty high. Yeah.
Yeah, he's got a very but even then he looks frazzled. They did the makeup and shit was good. I'm gonna go ahead and give it a gold too, because my head goes to all these different things too, like what's real, what's not. Is it an allegory for Prometheus, or is it this or that? I like that. I like when movies do that. I like when movies let me kind of decipher that kind of thing. Like let me kind of do what I want, or I mean, maybe I'd like to see kind of later on what Roger Eggers thing is. Well, this is what it's actually about, But hey, it's cool that you got it. But I would like to see what him and Max, what were you guys fucking doing? Did you guys get stranded? Did you guys go fishing, right? And then your motor died, and you didn't bring your oars with, so you had to just float into shore somewhere, and then and then you just got drunk out on a boat and rode the shit.
Yeah, I think it did a really great job of conveying a sense of psychotic loneliness and I don't know, the feeling of hopelessness of being lost on or stranded on this island, and just the characters, the two characters were fantastic. There was only one shot that I didn't really like, and it was when the camera was panning up the lighthouse. I don't know, for whatever reason.
Oh, when it was super zoomed in?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
That
yeah.
one kind of bothered my eyes little bit.
It was hard to follow it because you're trying to like your eyes are trying to focus on a singular brick or something, but then it's just like flying up this lighthouse. Right. Yeah, I could see.
And that's the only shot that I was like, that doesn't really fit with like the beautiful kind of shots of the rest of the movie. But that's a minor gripe. And otherwise, besides there being like I hate being that person, like there has to be a narrative or whatever.
Sure.
But I was kind of hoping there would be some more of like a reason for this
something
movie.
more solid. Yeah, yes. I'm usually that way too.
Yeah, same here. And even walking out initially, I felt that way. But as we kind of go through it and think about it, I actually feel a lot better about it. Like,
the fact that there's so much nuance in like was Robert Pattinson crazy, all that stuff we had talked about. I think that in itself is enough of like a narrative.
Yeah,
sure.
Or something.
Yeah, something that you can build up yourself.
Yes,
yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, because I was walking and was expecting a Lovecraft romp, and it ended up not being that at all. And at first, I'm like, "Oh, that's
or
fucking.
Maybe it is,
or maybe it is." Yeah, maybe they were looking into like the dream world of unknown Kadath or whatever. You know, and that's what's in the lighthouse. Because I mean, when I was thinking about is like the beginning of the story, White Ship, where the guy runs a lighthouse that his dad ran, then he gets pulled away on this white ship to these beautiful lands, and keep taking me further until like, look, dude, we're getting to a point of no return, and you're not gonna like it. And then he ends up back at the lighthouse, and all this like paradise is lost because he got too greedy or whatever. I have to read the story again. I read it once, but like it was really, really awesome. But that's kind of what I was thinking. Like, is it going to be kind of something along those lines? But as I got away from it, I was able to like kind of analyze it. Yeah, the story ended up being really cool. Even it's sparse, but like they're character stories, you know. And the thing is you have these conflicting character stories that are trying to exist at the same time.
Yeah.
And it ended up being really effective because it fucked with you because you're like, no, hold on a second, you know. And so it was actually kind of fun. Like I want to see it again because I want to see what I missed, you know. And I have this feeling that there's maybe hints to things, you know.
Sure.
And I kind of want to really dive into it that way.
Yeah, like the whole log when he first sees the mermaid, that whole thing, because he wouldn't know that at the time that he had that experience with the logging.
And I was trying to figure out what those fucking things were at first, even, you know.
So yeah, I'll agree with that gold status. So
hey, man, that's pretty good for considering it's the directors of The Witch.
Well,
yeah. It's definitely there's a lot more to think about in this movie than the Witch is. It's interesting in that it's like this period movie, and it's like, oh, hey, it was a real supernatural thing all along. Yeah. But like leading up to it, it could have just not had that last scene, and it's like
it's just this plotting family.
Or this kid's sick or whatever. Yeah, it's like there's just not a ton to think about or dissect in that movie at all, even though. You know, a bunch of like horror movie fans will like sniff their own farts and be like, "Oh, this is actually really great. And you guys missed this." It's like, no, it's an all right movie. It's just kind of boring.
Atmosphere, though,
but
man.
There's a lot more of that in The Lighthouse than in The Witch, for sure. A lot more to think about and more interesting things happening in general.
It was more fun. Yeah, I liked it. I liked it a lot. So yeah, gold.
Well, if we haven't turned you off from The Lighthouse, I know we basically just went through the movie, and if you're still watching this, I hope you've seen The Lighthouse by now. But, definitely go check it out. Seal of approval. Gold status.
That's pretty good. Yeah.
Get at us on Twitter at ScreamFiends. Let us know what you thought of The Lighthouse. I was going to say The Witch. The Lighthouse.
That too.
That too. Let us know what you would like us to watch next. Any recommendations?
I have
always
one.
Looking for something new, something.
I watched
cool,
one I thought was pretty cool.
And
I'm going to suggest this. It was actually pretty good because I don't generally get into these found footage movies.
Russ's suggestion of the week.
My suggestion of the week: Lake Mungo. It's a ghost, like a typical, camera setup, find ghost movie, but it's shot as a documentary, and it was pretty interesting. I really liked it.
Was it on Amazon?
I think it's on Amazon Prime. Yeah.
Okay. From us at Scream Fiends, so long and farewell.